Shadow of the Erdtree is just around the corner with just another month to go, but there has been some secrets you haven't seen yet about this exciting DLC. So let's go through all the new information we know about this upcoming DLC. This DLC will be the biggest by far out of all the Souls games. It will take 30 hours to beat. Miyazaki, the director for Elden Ring, recently had an interview to help advertise this DLC, and it's kind of gone a secret, because this interview was mainly advertised to China. So let's talk about this interview and talk about some interesting things he mentioned. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see some more Elden Ring content, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Let's get into this. Now, the interviewer asked Miyazaki some interesting questions, and I'm going to shorten down the most interesting questions from this long interview. Now, how big is this Elden Ring DLC? Well, the interviewer asked Miyazaki. The main game has been out for over 2 years, and many players' levels, equipment are already well developed. How will the difficulty and enemy strength in DLC be balanced? The difficulty of the DLC is roughly at the level of the later part of the main game, and players need to defeat Radahn and Mohg, and are expected to have a good understanding of the game by then, giving its placement in the later half. The difficulty is relatively high. We've introduced a new leveling element in the DLC, allowing players to choose a challenge level. For instance, players who are already highly leveled can opt to halt progression and not upgrade this new attribute to challenge the enemies. Those who find it difficult can continue to enhance the new attribute and their character's strengths. Now, what is he talking about? If you played Sekiro, when you kill the bosses, you can turn their remembrance into their strengths, instead of Elden Ring where you can just get runes or weapons. In the DLC, it will work similarly to Sekiro, so this quote-unquote difficulty slider is just you personally choosing to not make yourself stronger to challenge yourself. This is pretty self-explanatory, but they asked will there be a new game plus mechanic for the DLC, basically responding yes, as expected. But he also mentions that there is hidden elements and secrets, so your second playthrough won't be like the first one, which is one of the best things about Elden Ring, the replayability. Interviewer introduces some lore questions saying, will the DLC resolve plot questions from the main game, or will they introduce more new content for discussion? Some of the mysteries left in the main game will be resolved. Can't guarantee that it won't lead to more new questions. Overall, the DLC will provide a deeper understanding of the world and the story of the game. This is some very good information because there are so many unanswered questions about Elden Ring and the lore. Hopefully this will sum up a lot of these questions. Some people have been wondering, will this DLC affect the world we already know and love? Miyazaki says, no. The story of the main game will not be adjusted or updated in the conjunction with the DLC. As with other games, my philosophy is that the story will be completed by the players themselves. The gameplay is part of the story. It will fix any obvious bugs, but there will be no changes to the plot itself. DLC will be completely its own thing. That's rightfully confirmed now. The question we have to be asking ourselves, are we going to be seeing another reveal trailer? Big summer showcase coming in the start of June. Say it's safe to say they will treat us with another trailer. The DLC fully releasing at the end of the month. Something I was thinking about for the DLC, NPCs that we already know, will they be in the DLC? Thankfully the interviewer asked this, and he responded. The DLC will feature many new characters, independent of the main game. Key NPCs that quote-unquote directly appear in the DLC won't return to the main game to avoid narrative conflicts. Player potentially killing an NPC in the main game prevent their appearance in the DLC. However, indirectly known characters like the well-known Kella will continue to be integral throughout the entire story. Perfectly sums up for us, showing that the important characters in Elden Ring will be popping up in the DLC. That's pretty much confirmed for us now. This one is very interesting and lore heads will love this. Interviewer asks, the main game features Miquella's lilies and Tarina's lilies, which are very similar in appearance. We're familiar with Miquella, but will there be a role for Tarina in the DLC? What is their relationship? Identities of Miquella and Tarina have sparked much discussion since the game's release. They are seen as distant entities, but their specific relationship has not been disclosed as we want. Players to explore this on their own. It's confirmed that Tarina will appear in the DLC, and the relationship will be further explained. That is a lot, and there could be a whole separate video just talking about this point, but basically Saint Tarina is another version of Miquella, a like clone, doppelganger, that is an entity of sleep. And this character has been speculated and hinted at the whole game, but we really don't know much about it. This character could be a major boss in the DLC, we'll just have to wait and see. Here's another interesting question. Will the ending chosen in the main storyline affect the narrative of the DLC? Does the DLC feature multiple endings? The DLC operates independently, so the choices made in the main game do not affect the DLC's narrative. As for endings, the DLC does not have a definitive end or final point, like the main game, which features multiple endings. However, players will have to face some decisions during their playthrough. Now this is kind of strange, there isn't an ending to the DLC? What do you think about this in the comments? Let me know. Now enough about the lore. The interviewer questions if this is going to be the last DLC for Elden Ring, and also asks, if not, is there anything else he can reveal about future plans? Shadow of the Erdtree is both the first and the last of the DLC. There were no further content additions planned for the game. However, Whether the Elden Ring story is conclusively finished has not been decided. From Software tends to keep possibilities open for their IPs. As for Shadow of the Erdtree, it is indeed the only DLC. So this will definitely be the last DLC for Elden Ring, which is disappointing but understandable. But on the future of Elden Ring and From Software, now that it's confirmed that this is the first and last DLC for Elden Ring, we have to ask ourselves, will there be an Elden Ring 2 perhaps? Now that wraps up the best questions from the interview. What questions excited you the most and made you feel more hyped for this DLC? Let me know down in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, leave a like and subscribe, and let me know if you want to see more content like this. Thank you for watching the video. Peace.